when you think about this difference between the western part, the east part in the Middle Ages, we have to consider that in the western part there was, in this sense, the fallen of the Roman Empire, and in the 476 AD. This is really important because we know that in the end there was the fall of the Roman Empire, but at the same time we have to consider that in the last part of the Roman Empire, in particular in 4th century AD, there was Constantine that reunified, on the one hand, the idea of empire, but at the same time developed a specific type of political division, founded the idea of Constantinople. This type of division that was developed and as an idea or also as a practical sense with the Diocletian, in particular before Constantine. In fact, Diocletian wanted to divide the empire into parts because there were a lot of crises of the empire in the empires, but at the same time, with the civil war after Diocletian, there was a specific type of new type of emperor that was Constantine that developed a specific type of unify of the Roman Empire. But at the same time, there was also the foundation of Constantinople with an idea of Christianity that was developed by Constantine and then also Theodosius. This is really interesting because with the end of the Western Roman Empire, in any case, the East Roman Empire maintained itself, in particular with Justinian the First. And this is interesting because, on the one hand, the western part of the Western Roman Empire became the Middle Ages of the Europe. In this sense, we know that arrived the kingdoms of the barbarians, and in the end, for example, in the 7th and in the 8th century AD, there was the empire of Carloman. On the other hand, we know that the Middle Ages in Western Europe was decentralized. In fact, for example, we have on the one hand the idea of law that was different between the Europe. We know also that arrived the Muslims in the 7th and the 8th century AD that conquered the north of Egypt and a great part of Spain. But at the same time, in this sense, in this type of decentralizations, in the end, if we have to consider the east part, we know that there was still the Roman Empire, but in a new type of modality with a different type of structure. In fact, if in the western part of the Christianity, the Pope maintained the spiritual power, but the different type of sovereignties, kings, kingdoms maintained their temporal power. We know that in the East Roman Empire or Byzantine Empire, there was a unified, the power was unified in the emperor that maintained and had, on the one hand, the idea of political power, but also the idea of religion power. And in this sense, the emperor, it was a sort of successor of Christ that maintained, unified these two powers, but in the idea of Christianity. In this sense, in any case, if we have to consider the Justinian the Emperor Justinian the First, in any case, we are, in any case, in this sense, still in the East Roman Empire as classics. On the one hand, because Justinian tried to reflect and try to save the law of the classic Roman Empire. On the other hand, in any case, we are not in the classic Roman Empire because Justinian closed the ancient Greeks schools, pagans schools of philosophy for the time of science. But at the same time, Justinian tried to develop, in this sense, the idea of Christ and with the idea of the new type of religion. This is another point of view that we have to consider. In any case, Justinian tried to save the law of the Roman Empire and tried to select this law. In fact, Justinian, the only way to save the ancient Roman Empire it was try to write and codify what it was possible to save. And if we have to consider this type of idea or fact, we have to consider that with this specific type of action, Justinian, in any case, didn't follow the classical idea of the ancient jurists of the Roman Empire. In fact, the ancient jurists, in particular, between the 3rd century BC and 1st century AD, therefore, the jurists that were present during were that were present during the Roman Republic and the Empire try to reflect about law in relation with the cases, in relation with the consuetudinary of the law. Therefore, according to the idea that the law has to be research and not um, has to be research and not impose, or has to be research and hasn't to be created. This is really interesting because the Roman jurists develop an idea of law in relation with social sciences. This is because the ancient law is in relation with the idea of social science already during the ancient Roman Empire. Because there were laws, for example, of the emperor, of the senate, but at the same time, there were also the jurists that tried to think about what people choose, but also the movements of the people and the idea of Rome. On the other hand, Justinian tried to reflect about this, selecting the that laws and that idea of law that could be safe, but at the same time, with this behavior, he lost the idea of the classical jurist that try to think about the social sciences without founding a specific type of codification. It is important in any case to explain that Justinian tried to think and tried to do this to save the classical Roman idea of law. In any case, the Byzantine Empire became a specific type of uh, uh, centralized empire with the idea of emperor that have the political power and the spiritual power. Differently by the Western idea of Middle Ages, where there was the division between spiritual power and temporal power. Temporal power that could have can could have about of the sovereign of the kings, spiritual power that that it was of the pope. Byzantine emperor instead, on the contrary, had the conciliation in the emperor of the political power and spiritual power, with the idea that in any case, if the emperor didn't follow the costumes, the tradition of the East Roman Empire or Byzantine Empire, he could be removed or assassinated, murdered by the others, kings of the different type of territories of the Byzantine Empire, or also deposed by his soldiers, by his army, because it was the, the 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 emperor of the Byzantine Empire. It was voted from the Pope, from sorry, from the populations, from the citizens, from the army, and in any case, also from the idea of kings and kingdoms that derived from his power. This is really important to explain in any case. Therefore, he had to follow the tradition, but at the same time, each people, each man, each woman in this empire had to follow his type of idea of empire. A Byzantine Empire that in any case it was important because on the other hand, in particular during the development of the Muslims with their jihad, explain his type of ideas as dangers because Muslims try to conquer the territories or in any case, yeah, the territories of Christianity. Therefore, the Byzantine Empire, the emperor of the Byzantine Empire, uh, explained to the Pope of the western part of the Middle Ages that it was important the support of the different type of kingdoms of the Middle Ages, and this was important because the Pope Urban II, with this ask, with this behavior of a emperor of a Byzantine Empire, uh, tried to develop the first Crusades, and in any case arrived to develop the Crusades. In any case, the idea of Crusades that it was the defense of the Christian territories. On the contrary, the idea of jihad, according, for example, to the historian Thomas Madden, the idea of jihad wanted to develop a specific type of conquest to the territories that weren't a part of the Christian territories. Sorry, weren't a part of the Muslims territories. Sorry. And on the contrary, the idea of crusades, it was to defend the Christian territory. Therefore, on the one hand, the jihad, according to Thomas Madden, it was the idea of to conquer the territories that it weren't part of the idea of Islam. On the other hand, the idea of crusades, it was try to defend the idea of that territory that were part of the ancient Roman Empire that became Christian, therefore defend the Christian territories or the Christian lands. Therefore, according to Thomas Madden, there was a specific type of conciliation between uh, Byzantine Empire and Christian Middle Ages, Western Middle Ages, because it is true that the Byzantine Empire had and saw a specific type of conciliation between political power and religion power, or spiritual power and temporal power, differently by the Western Middle Ages, with a different type of situation because the centralization between spiritual power and of the Pope and temporal power of the kings, but at the same time, the same idea of Christianity between the Byzantine Empire and the Western Middle Ages try to develop a specific type of defense of the territories of the Christianity. With all limits, in fact, with all the different type of situation, in fact, the Crusades happen as defense of the Christian territories, but at the same time, we know that, for example, the Byzantine Empire tried then, because different type of situation has different type of politics, tried in any case after to limit also in any case the crusades of the Western kings, in particular because some deals in particular weren't developed as the Byzantine Empire wanted. But in any case, we know that theoretically there was a specific type of connection between western part of the Middle Ages and east part of the Middle Ages. Bye.